if I was to sit with that person now, he'd just be in awe of who I am now. Everyone's dying to hear this. 12 months ago, I wrote myself a letter and I was meant to open it on the first day of 2026 because back then my vision was like backed with no evidence and no proof. It was just delusion, self-belief.
I've never, in my 35 years of working, ever have felt a sense of purpose in all of the good ways.
Yeah.
Pride, everything. You think, well, God, I did all right. I did good. You did good.
12 months ago, I wrote myself a letter and I was meant to open it on the first day of 2026. And Mum is here and was requested to hear what I had to say. So here I am, and I'm going to read on the world famous Blues and Greens podcast, Behind the Greens, with thousands and millions of listeners at home. Everyone's dying to hear this. I know I've had all these good questions in the comment section of the 2 people that listened. But this is my letter that I wrote, and it was an activity. Now date my mind back. So the way this came back, I remember, is I put up a Instagram story on Blues and Greens with like a question box, and I said I think I said, oh, what are your goals for the year? And I remember one of my OG followers who used to buy all my clothing jobs replied back and sent me a photo of a letter, and she goes, oh, I just wrote a letter to my 2026 self. And I saw that was the sickest idea ever. And I literally just went and did it.
You did it.
And
where have you had it in your top drawer or something?
I had it pinned on the board up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I always knew it was there. And I used to just have it in my office, and it was kind of like my inspiration because I kind of knew what I wrote in it. So it was always just like my guiding light.
Yeah.
But I kind of didn't know. And the whole point of this exercise was, which I think is fucking awesome, and I encourage anyone, is when you set goals, New Year's resolutions, obviously that's the time where people usually set goals, is you write these things down or you tell people these things, but then when 12 months down the line happens, you never actually know how you felt when you set that goal.
Yeah.
So it kind of just feels checkbox, obviously I was going to do this. So what I wanted to do was kind of capture how I was actually feeling when I set that goal.
Yeah.
How unrealistic I felt it was versus how important it was to me. Because I don't know, the only way to find that out is just trying to reflect or read. That's why I read a lot of journal entries.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was a cool way to actually know how I was feeling in those moments.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Because if you asked me, did you think you would have achieved what you did this year? I would have just been for sure.
Yeah.
But then after reflecting over these last few days, it's kind of just
so much has happened for you.
Yeah.
This year.
But here we go.
All right.
Dear 2026 me.
I'm going to cry. I don't need tissues.
Probably no one. You cried about talking about Elliot, so I think you probably would. Nothing wrong with Elliot. We love Elliot, but dear 2026 me, there is a lot of things I would love to know about you. A lot I'd love to ask you as I'm sat here on the 1st of January 2025. There's also a lot I know will happen. I hold so much confidence in myself heading into this year. I believe that I'm going to take off financially, emotionally, psychologically. I'll be unrecognisable, and I'll be pretty close to the life and feelings I've always dreamt of. I know my happiness doesn't lie in the outcomes of these dreams. My happiness isn't a result of more money or achieving goals or receiving accolades. My happiness is now, right now. But the achievements, the goals, the materials, the growth, that is proof to myself that I am who I believe I am. And it is a resource which allows me to do everything I've always wanted to do. Resources of time and control of it, and money which will allow me to chase the opportunities and beauties of life and give back to the people that matter most. That is success. As you are entering 2026, life as I know it will be completely different. Whatever I imagine to achieve in 12 months, I just know it is going to be so far beyond that. That's what's so exciting, because although I have these visions and dreams and ambitions of what I want the year to pan out like and what I think I'd be doing at the end of the year, the curveballs of life always have a different story. And it'll be fucking crazy to see what roller coaster takes me across the next 12 months, and I can't fucking wait. These are some things I would absolutely love to be able to say as I step foot into 2026. This first one's an absolute bust. I can play a song fluently on the piano. Random one, I know. But I've always wanted to play an instrument, tried it, but never quite got it. This year I'm going to slowly chip away at learning piano and come close to the year come to the close of the year, I'd like to be able to say that I can fluently play a song. I remember at the start of the year, I was just practicing 2 minutes a day then obviously I moved away and whatnot.
Yeah.
But that's my first one. I have a business that has constant lead flow. This is an open-ended statement, but this year I'm going to put such a focus on the rule of 100 and attracting new customers every day. I want to be able to sign one new customer every week for 52 weeks. That'd be insane. But to have a business that has consistent lead flow, even if I were to have a week off, would be unbelievable and something I can't even imagine to believe right now. So 2026, me, if I do, then fucking don't take that shit for granted. That is so fucking cool. I have full confidence in my business delivery and it's making me genuine money. Again, an open-ended one, but full confidence in my programs that I can price it at the price that I want to and wouldn't hesitate about providing value, whether that's to a stranger or to someone that I know in Perth. Only I can judge this. Again, the money one, if I'm making myself consistent flow of cash, that is so fucking cool. That would have been such a dream to me to be able to know that I have my own cash flow in my own business. I could live in Bali if I wanted to. By this, it falls into the cash flow of the business, meaning I could pick up and move my business to Bali or to anywhere if I wanted to. And financially and deliverability-wise, it'd be okay. I think 2026, moving out of home will be on the horizon for me. And that is something which I've dreamt to be able to do. I feel the happiest I've ever been. Right now, as I sit here, I feel the happiest I've ever been. But again, in 12 months, I hope to stack another 12 months on top of that and be even happier than I am now. I'm in the position to launch a branch to the business which could literally change teen wellbeing forever. And I've connected with over 50 teens this year and feel like I've genuinely impacted their life. I believe I can change the world, not overnight, but in my lifetime. And I believe that this time next year, I could be in the position to be building or launching something which would be huge towards that. Whether that is a Blues and Greens room or some other crazy idea that I come up with between now and then, I genuinely believe something huge will happen where a light bulb goes off, an opportunity has been presented to me, and I'm in the stages of launching to somewhere wild. That is an absolute dream. I left no stone unturned. No stone unturned anywhere. I did everything I can to maximize lead flow, to develop my relationships, to grow my business, to better myself. No regrets ever. And then the last one, I literally have a real ass business with real ass people. This to me is such a wild thought. I know once I get to this point, it is where I'll thrive and grow so much. But imagine I can say that I have a business which I actually have hired someone and begun building out a real team. That is fucking crazy. And 2025 could very well be the year where I achieve something like that. Honestly, this year was crazy. I'm so happy, so grateful, and so excited to get into 2025. I achieved dreams. Literally, I do actually pinch myself now. I'm so happy, so lucky, and so freaking excited. The huge body of work behind me is going to pay off. I'm ready to start building these foundations, and I'll never fucking stop, and I'll never quit, and that is why I'll win.
That's cool.
Oh.
How does that make you feel?
Pretty hectic.
Huh?
Reading it out loud is different to just reading it in your head. More just because, like, it's so easy to, like, get caught up in what it is that you're doing and not realize how much I dreamt of where I am now. And I remember I used to always say, like, not that this is like, not that what I was doing before, I wasn't appreciating the moments of it. Because I remember I used to always say in my journal, I used to always write, like, these are the moments I'll remember for a lifetime. Because, like, where I was this time last year, this time the year before, I knew for a fact that what I was doing this time last year, I was never going to do again. So, like, whether that meant I was selling hoodies, living broke, not knowing if I was going to sell out my next job to be able to fund the next job after that, like that kind of thing, I knew that that was temporary. And, like, I used to just tell myself every night, like, these are the days I remember for a lifetime, because once you get into this sort of cycle, a lot more of, like, building something which is more real, I guess. Like, the moments that I once existed where I was completely on my own have just, like, fleeted. Like, I just knew that that was never going to be something that I experienced again, if that makes sense. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that was awesome. not surprising, you know, when I hear that, and you've always had these wild, ambitious, you know, sort of dreams, but the fact of the matter is, when you say something, it's like you think about, you're obviously a super deep thinker, right? So you think. So I know when you actually say it, it's not like you've just thought it and said it. So you've thought about that thought for a really long time. And so once you verbalise it, it's going to happen.
I think that's probably something I learned massively over this year was, I think when I was like first starting out and a bit younger, even now I still do it, I'm still guilty, but sharing every idea that I have, where this year was kind of the year where I shared all these ideas and these visions. Like, I never really voiced that too much to anyone. Like this time last year, I probably wasn't saying that that's what I was going to be out loud, because I started to realize that, like, I know this is true, and I'm just going to work my ass off, and I'm going to let my actions and results speak for themselves. Because I think when you start telling people everything, you then set that expectation, and that's not what I was really doing it for. And also, like, whatever I said or whatever people replied with, it wasn't going to change what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And you kind of get used to what people respond with, so you just get on with shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of.
And so, are you going to do the same exercise?
Yeah, probably
today or tomorrow.
Yeah, but I want to simplify it a lot more. Like, I think this year was like an anomaly year in the sense of all those feelings that I was like expressing there. Like, if I was to talk to myself, if I was to sit with that person now, he'd just be in awe of who I am now. And all those things have come true.
Yeah.
And like the person who I wanted to be, like who I literally used to dream of, is like who I am now. Whereas I think now I'm kind of at that point of like, that jump from last year to this year was just like such a huge jump, because it's gone from kind of just being like a kid to being an adult in a sense. So if I was to fast forward next year, or if I was to do something like this next year, it wouldn't be like that. And I was been tackling that thought of like, my vision isn't as strong as it used to be, because back then my vision was like backed with no evidence or no proof. It was just delusion, self-belief, internal, like that's all it was. Where now it's like my vision is a lot more simpler of where I'm moving, because it's kind of just like more of what I'm already doing, compared to before it was this big thing that was just sitting there, which like if I said to anyone, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I just felt it inside, which is, yeah. So hard to put into words, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah. Was that intuition, Harry? I think we spoke about it a few days ago. And I actually found that conversation quite profound, because it's not something that we've ever sort of spoken about before. And we're not obviously an overly spiritual, you know, family or religious family or anything like that. But when you spoke to me about your intuition and how strong it is, whether it's whatever it is, that voice, and we started talking about faith and God and why people, you know, have that. That to me was a really profound but interesting conversation, because I've never really thought about it like that. I mean, I'm a big believer in your intuition, right? You follow that gut feeling; it's there for a reason. But it seems like yours is expedited massively of recent times. Like you just have this, you're just so in touch with that, and it's proved you well. But it's also at times you've gone against that, and that's proved you. That's why, you know, obviously it's such a strong thing for you, because as we talk about, we can only connect the dots when we're looking back. That's been a big thing for us this year, right? At the time, we don't always understand why things are happening. And you're making decisions and you think, I don't know, there's something inside of me telling me it's not quite right, but I'm going to go against that. I think that has been a huge lesson and
Probably the biggest lesson
for you this year?
I think with like what I've learned with that is the times when I went against that voice, I could never quite find the answers that I was searching for. So like naturally this year as it's sort of come up, there's been so many different outside people come into my life and have their opinions on how blues and greens should be or how I should live or whatever. And like that's always going to be the case. And what I noticed is in the moments where I lent into voices of other people is when I felt so stuck because I was relying on answers from someone or something else compared to knowing inside the answers exist with me. And what I sort of have come to terms, I think what my biggest peace settler is when I don't have the answer, I'm starting to realize that whether God, whichever religion you believe in, it's like, I'm not ready for that yet. And I think there's like such a, for like humans in itself and just position that I'm in now with blues and greens is like a lot of my decisions and answers that I need to deliver hold a lot more weight. So I can kind of feel like this third person, God, intuition, hold back the answers from me. So like, for example, in this midst of like sorting out the program coordinator roles and things like that, is like I've been getting so frustrated on the answers, wanting the answers, like trying to work out what this role looks like, trying to work out what I need to be providing to parents, trying to work out what I need to be providing these people. And I knew there was an answer that sat in there, and I always do. But like, it felt like I wasn't getting being passed the answer over. And now it kind of makes sense just only 3 days in advance is like, if I had got given the answer in an early stage, I would have made a decision which would have impacted another or multiple people's human lives. So now it's kind of like accepting that when I want the answers, the reason why I'm not getting them is because I'm not yet warranted the power to be able to deliver this answer, if that makes sense. And I'm not that I've been reading the Bible or anything, but it came up, I think a friend from boxing shared me this, we were talking about religion one time, and he showed me this verse in the Bible. It's something like that about like, you don't get the answers until you're like ready to hold the power to deliver the solution or whatever. And I think now it's just find peace in the fact of like, if I don't have the answer or if I'm stuck on something, I'm meant to be stuck for one. Like I love that feeling of being stuck, knowing that when I find the solution or feel better about it, like what comes from that is what matters. But then it's like when I don't have the answer for a hiring decision or a program decision, it's like if I had the answer now and I made the decision, then the impact is going to be like whatever decision I make is going to have an impact on people. So if I don't have the answer, it's because I'm not ready, mature, stable enough to be able to make this decision yet. Because if I make it emotionally or prematurely to fuel my ego, then it's going to impact someone else when I 2 days later change my mind. And that's something which I'm trying to come a lot more terms with is realize
you have to have all the answers right now.
Don't have to have all the answers right now, but also not letting
emotion.
Not letting my emotional instability at times impact other people. And that was my lesson 9 of this year. Emotions make bad decisions.
Making decisions when
you're emotional never ends well.
No, it doesn't.
And especially now as a leader. Like, if I rely on my emotions to decide the fate, in quotations, of blues and greens, then I'm always going to feel empty because like the emotions that I feel are so temporary. Like what I feel today is going to be different to what I feel tomorrow. So trying to just find that stability and like what it is I stand for, what it is that we want to achieve, who are the people that are coming on board, and making like foundational, fundamental decisions based on that compared to like what I'm feeling on a Tuesday compared to what I'm feeling on a Friday. Which I think you rode definitely rode the fair share of those like emotional bumps of early days when that's probably what I did and still continue to do at times.
Yeah. There's definitely I've definitely ridden the roller coaster in the last 24 years. Let's face it. Maybe in the last 6, it's it's been an interesting ride. There's no doubt about it. I mean, not one that I look back on with any form of regret at all. But I've learned, it's allowing me to learn a lot about myself as well.
What's been the biggest thing you've learned?
In the last 6 months?
Yeah.
That there's so much that I actually don't know.
What in particular? Go on.
Oh, God, here I go. Such a bloody crybaby.
Go on.
I can't help it. I don't know, like you think you get to 50 and you've got life pretty much worked out, but yeah, there's so much.
No, yeah.
You feel like I think I can understand how, this might not even be really relevant, but how people of our generation are feeling left behind. It's scary. Like it's actually it's scary. Like the world that we're coming into with technology and AI, and like it just.
Well, you'd be seeing me the way the new softwares and systems and processes that are springing up.
And I think
and you probably think
I feel like a bit not more than I can chew. I think, fuck, I'm bloody old school.
But then, thinking of like the businesses who are running their physio clinic or whatever, just old school, and realizing that how much they're doing so manually, and realizing how much opportunity they're missing out on.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, it's a wild ride. I tell you what, I'm loving the that sense of community. I'm loving the fact that I've never in my 35 years of working, nearly 40, ever have felt a sense of purpose. I've always loved what I did, my job and stuff, but I've never ever felt like you're making a difference in people's lives, right? Not many people have the privilege to be able to say that. And to witness, like I guess as a mum, watch the impact that you've had from your humble beginnings up there in your little space where you'd sit for 10, 12 hours a day with your headphones on and hardly even communicate with anyone in the family because you were just so locked in whatever it was you were doing. Clearly I know what you were doing now, but at the time I used to get so frustrated and think, fuck, like look at him, he just doesn't even want to engage with us. It's like he doesn't even like living here. That's the sort of conversations Dad and I used to have. Does he even want to be here? He doesn't even like it. All he does is sit up there. But now I can appreciate what it took for you to get where we are today. And to have me be there, like, next to you is just crazy to think that, as Billy says, Harry's your boss now. He pays the bills. It's like, yeah, no shit, he does. It's such a surreal feeling as a parent. It really is. Obviously, in all of the good ways, the pride, the, everything. You think, wow, God, I did all right. I did good. You did good.
Well, that's the goal of parenting, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what I've realised, like, after speaking to so many parents, that's what they care about.
Yeah. You just want to raise good humans, And I've done it 3 times, so I'm not quite sure what the recipe is, but...
But you got it.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you think the recipe is?
I think the recipe...
If you could write a single page recipe for mums of teenage boys, what do you think that recipe is?
think the recipe is. I still believe that I'm working it out, right? And I do feel, and Jack, obviously, and I have a bit of a joke, Jack being the eldest was my crash test dummy. And I said to him, and I often say it, and I'm sure any child, like the first child, maybe in same-sex families, say 3 boys, the oldest will always say, I had the raw deal. Because everything that Jack did was the first for me. So I didn't know what was going on. Jack was the crash test. He was the first. So he was the first to do everything. So, of course, then you come along 2 years later, had a bit more of an idea because Jack had obviously given me that, the initial opening to how you do things as a mum. And then, of course, no 2 babies are the same. And so while she got a bit of an idea, there's always some curveballs that get thrown in because you're different. Yeah, I didn't really answer your question though, did I? The recipe, I think, is to obviously have boundaries and routine. I think that's really, really important. And I think boundaries are really important from an early age. But what recipe worked for me is not going to work for the next person. And I think today's generation of families are taught. We didn't have the luxury. I guess what I could say is instinct. You talk about that feeling inside. You kind of know that mothering instinct. But we didn't have the privilege, and I use that word with a little bit of trepidation, but the privilege of having knowledge and answers at our fingertips, right? The best I had was a book that said what to expect when you're expecting, a book that was like 500 pages. And
then Maggie Dent came along.
Exactly. And she was, and still is, the absolute guru when it comes, particularly boys, of having answers for us and making us feel like everything we're experiencing was normal.
What I was going to say is like we talk about it a lot in terms of like blues and greens of like what do we need to give our parents to make their experience better, and what Maggie has given you and hundreds of thousands of families across the world isn't riveted in scientific brain wire and stuff, but it was the fact that she was just a few steps ahead of you. She raised her boys 5-10 years before you did.
Yeah.
And she was just showing you, hey, this is what I did, this is what I felt. Fuck, they drove me crazy. And this is how I put up with it.
Yeah.
So it's like the same way I always say to you is like, for the families that come through blues and greens, I think what they would value most isn't like trying to tell them how to parent, but it's sharing, like, you know what I mean? Like, like I always talk about doing live Q&As with the parents and things like that, because why blues and greens exist for teenagers is that exact reason of like, you're fucking 16, I know what it's like, you're feeling all these things, you got girls that you have a crush on. Guess what? I understand it, and I did it 6 years ago. And it's the same thing, mums, parent, everyone wants that feeling of like, when you're in an uncharted territory, when you're in rocky seas, you want a sailor to come along and go, I've driven this boat before, I've been in rocky seas, let me do it.
Yeah.
Rather than it being your first time driving the fucking boat on big waves, you want someone who at least done it once before. And same in business, like when you're in uncharted territories, you have a mentor, someone who's done it before. It's not rocket science. And I think where people get unstuck or get stuck, parents maybe, but not just parents, like anyone who's trying to improve in what it is that they're doing, business, sport, fitness, diet, parenting teenagers, being a teenager, there's so much noise out there.
Yeah.
There's access to everyone's opinion, and it's this overwhelming overload of, well, who do I follow? Yeah. All you need is just someone to say that, hey, I get this, and I'm only a few steps ahead. And I think now in this world of like, you don't know what is real and what's not real on social media and things like that, is humans win.
Yeah. They'll always win, you'd hope.
And humans just want to see other humans who sound like them, look like them, act like them, are similar to them, sharing a bit about how they felt and that it's going to be okay in the most rawest form.
And it's true, because it will be okay. And I often, that's one thing that I often do say, to the mum that I speak to, and I think, and I do remember being in that stage of that. Well, let's face it, I'm still kind of in it with Bill, but I think it's a bit different with Billy having two older brothers that pull him through those seas probably quicker than perhaps where Jack was bobbling around in those seas at 16 and 17. He didn't have anyone to literally throw in that life ring or drag him out by the scruff of his neck and say, hey, you're in dangerous territory, you get out. Whether he listens or not, I know that he does in his own sort of way, but you do get through. I mean, as we say, you get through it, and there's no right or wrong. But I think,
you just want to feel heard and supported through whatever it is that you're going through.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's where the challenges come up, and even with that parenting thing, I think there's that whole narrative around like middle child syndrome, and I'd sure as hell, like when I remember.
Do you think it's a thing?
Well, I used to always say when I was younger,
I know you did, always.
But what I was going to say is the pennies kind of dropped as to why it's a thing from when you were explaining with Jack, is because, Jack and crash test dummy, whatever. Like, I notice a lot with oldest, like when we speak to mums, the oldest kid, it's like your first time doing it, you can't just say, what the fuck, like alarm bells ringing, whatever. Fair enough. There's no rule book, there's no guide, like there's no recipe. But then it's like Jack's done and Harry comes along, middle child, and it's like you've learned, what worked, what didn't, in an extent, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm gonna parent now, and I'm gonna go hard in the parenting game.
Yeah.
So you go hard in the parenting game, and as a teenager, what that reflects as is like, okay, she's strict, Jack's older now, whatever. But then Billy comes along underneath, so it's kind of like from a middle child, what you see is that Jack got coasted through. He was a test dummy. Billy comes in and he's now a little baby. He's a baby and gets all the attention. And I'm just getting hardcore parenting because my mum knows how to fucking parent now. So it's like, it kind of makes sense where you've gone to the first one, you've adjusted. Now you've gone hardcore parenting on the second one. New kid comes along. Oh my God, shiny toy. Like, I'm so happy. Like, little baby. We all love babies. And the middle child's kind of like, I'm just getting fucking parented like a dog. And my older brother's like, because I used to think it big time, middle child syndrome. I used to just think that like being an older brother's great. You're the oldest, like you run the show.
But don't you think it's good that you got one of each? Is that not a good thing to think?
At the end of that, now as an adult, it's different. Yeah. But I remember as a 10 to 15-year-old just thinking like, I've got the hard yards. Oh. And it's always a thing, even when I'd like speak to, I don't know, other teenagers or like boys that come through or like anyone, it's like anytime you have they go their middle child, you have like a little moment of bonding because they get it. It's true.
Whereas Jack, if you were to ask Jack that same question, he reckons he's the most hard done by. Yeah. Oh, and I wasn't able to do this. Oh, Mum did this to me. Oh, Billy, you could do. He definitely, if you were to ask Jack, reckons he got the most. And as I said to him, I was learning with you. I got lots of things so right, but I got lots of things
but there is no right or wrong. I think that's the point.
Upon reflection, again, it's putting those dots back together.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like, what does right or wrong mean?
I don't know, but I look back and I think I could have handled certain situations differently.
Yeah, but
it's like the power of hindsight, right? We know that.
I look at it as just thinking, like I look back on my life and think of things that, wow, I could have handled things differently. But then what that does is that would have changed the outcome of that scenario, which would have affected everything where you end up today. So it's kind of like, for me, it's like I'm very happy with where I'm at. And to be happy with where you're at, you've got to be grateful for the life that you have. But to be grateful for the life you have, you've got to be grateful for the good things and the fucking shit things.
Yeah.
So I kind of thinking like, well, if I could have handled myself better in that situation, but if I did handle myself better, then the outcome would have been different. This wouldn't have happened. That would have happened. So it's kind of
that's all very philosophical, isn't it? It's like
that's so I think.
Lessons that you would have learned or wouldn't have learned by handling things differently. But parenting it's a continuous journey of learning at all stages, and I guess the hardest people think when the little babies, it's really, really hard and whatever. And yes, but no, whilst you have control over those little people, it's actually really easy. This is the hardest phase that the boys that you guys are looking after. You're 13, well, it seems to be younger now. I mean, now, before
11,
you probably say 15 to 19, now it's probably
11,
yeah.
10.
Hopefully not that young, but I guess some. But high school, that sort of transition.
High school started early now as well.
Yeah, that transition.
Like high school back, even when I first entered high school, just changed, but it used to be year 8.
Yeah.
But now you got fucking year 6s walking around high school.
Yeah.
The fuck's with that?
Yeah, I know. But, there's no recipe, Harry. I think the recipe evolves, changes.
I had that thought the other day when I was in the water, like, not in a dark way, but I was thinking, like, what is the point of this being life? And you can apply life to parenting or to kid. And I kind of like, what is the point of this? And I was sort of just repeating that in my head over and over again, knowing that I would have come up with some sort of answer in that moment. And kind of like what I got to was like, the point of life is that there is no point. And like, I think you grow up and you get made to believe that there is a point. You go to primary school to go to high school, you go to high school to go to uni, you go to uni to get a job, you get a job to be able to buy a house and raise a family. And like, that's kind of the point. Like the modern day, or the whatever you want to call it, the life path of growing up.
Yeah.
But then my thought in that moment was like, the point is like, there's no point, there's no script, there's no like race or outcomes that you have to hit at different moments, and like you can actually just do whatever the fuck you want, obviously within laws and things like that, but like you can choose to live your life the way you want. You can judge your success in whatever way you want. You can set your goals based on what you feel inside, and I think that's where a lot of
that's quite a selfish outlook, though, don't you think?
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like if everybody only worried about...
It doesn't have to be about yourself. Like, well, parenting in the same way. So let's apply that to parenting.
Worry about your family and your kids.
So the point of parenting, if we say, what's the recipe? I think the beautiful thing about the same analogy to parenting is that there is no recipe. There is no rule book. So you can do it however you want to. You can look inside of your heart and your intuition and your mind and your gut and whatever else, and you can go, I want to raise my kid this way because that's how I would like to parent.
Yeah.
And I think we all get caught up in the point, the recipe, the rule book,
the
race
one way or another.
of whatever it is that life, like whatever we want to apply it to life. For me, I just use it as life in itself, because the thoughts that I tackle is more around, when do I tick myself saying I'm successful, that kind of thing. So I was like, that was how I applied it.
Yeah.
But you apply it to whatever you want. So the point of parenting, the recipe to parenting is that there is no recipe.
No, there isn't.
You do it your way. You seek guidance from the people in your life, or the people the mentors, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And the only person who can judge if you're winning the race, you're successful, is like you. How do you feel on inside? Like, leaving no stone unturned, being happy. Like, there is no point.
Yeah.
There's no recipe, I guess.
No, there isn't. And I think because the world's changed so much as well. So what I would say 10 years ago, when I had, 14 and 16 and 7-year-olds running around the house, and how I handled it and how I mothered and parented, and, Simon and I did it together, to how a mum who has a 7 and a 12 and a 14-year-old now, 16-year-old, is different. As the same for my parents when I was 12 and, my brother was 10 or whatever. But at the time, the way I've sort of also is at peace with certain things is I felt that I did the best with the knowledge that I had, the resources that I had, and that, what was going on in our life at the time, whether it was right or wrong. And some parents, look at, as you said, do things differently today is what they would have done even 5 or 10 years ago with the same age kid. But I feel like you do the best with the resources that you have and the learnings that you have. And the lens that I looked through as a mum, parenting my kids, was a completely different lens to what my mum looked through when she was parenting me at the same age. Not saying that her lens was better or worse. And it would be the same when Jack and Holly have, their children, and then you have your children. Your lens will be a different lens. But you just want to hope that we think, that we did the best raising our boys through the lens that we had at the time.
Yeah, I like it. Leaving no stone unturned.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, we get it a lot with parents that come through Blues and Greens. They always say like, oh, I wish I had found this earlier, or I wish I had this when I was younger. And now it's like, which you naturally do, you find people who have a bit of shame or guilt about doing something like this, or like I need help, that kind of feeling. But now this is just an added resource which we can help, we can give families, which we didn't have or they didn't have, or rather than looking at it as like, I shouldn't do this because, my husband's a hard ass and he tells him to toughen up. It's kind of like, well, now this is just a resource that I can utilise.
Yeah.
I don't have to if I don't want to.
No.
But if I look back on my journey as a parenting and think, did I use all the resources that I wanted to? Yep, I'm happy with it. I gave Blues and Greens a shot, or I didn't, or I was busy at work, so I had to, like, whatever it may be. But now it's just, I guess, what we do now is sort of just provide an additional resource. And I say that because, like, I feel as though a lot of parents have a lot of shame or guilt or thinking that they're the only ones, like, feeling this way or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is just the nature of the world that we're dealing with right now.
Absolutely.
But that's our little round table philosophical chat.
Yeah, I liked it. And of course there was tears, because whenever there's conversations with me that go...
require reflection or deep thought, always a tear.
Can't help it.
What's one thing you'd like to be able to say this time next year?
I would like to be able to say that I took your father on that trip that we've been talking about. I would like to say that.
There you go, that's simple.
Yeah.
One thing.
30 years married, I reckon we deserve it.
I reckon too.
Yeah.
Well, let's book it right now.
Get some skin in the game.
Skin in the game.
That's it.
I would like to say that Blues and Greens has planted its flag outside of Australian soil.
Okay, yeah.
And I think everything that, if I just have that, I know this was a lot of like, my one last year was a lot of like feelings.
Yeah.
Naturally, because it's been a transition year. But I think if that's just like the one point B that I want to be able to say at the end, a lot of the things that I could set as goals or we want to be able to achieve in the meantime flow into that. Yeah. You can't get to point B without doing all these things in between. So I think that's a good a good tunnel vision focus for
the light at the end of the tunnel.
Light, yeah. And just being disciplined and focused on that, because everything that to be able to go into a new country, you have to have a strong program, you have to have documentation, you have to have good people, like all these things.
Yes.
Is kind of what I want to be working towards this year. But that's kind of like the outcome of it. Otherwise it's
very achievable. I don't see why that can't happen.
I think it will happen quite early in the year. July.
Is there a particular place that you could say you would like to?
I think the UK would be the easiest transition, just because I think culturally we're the most similar.
Yeah.
Obviously, the non-English speaking countries are later.
Yeah.
You know, I think if I was to go UK or US, UK is probably a safer
culturally,
play.
as you said, yeah, for sure.
I think US is a bit more of a a eat or be eaten place.
Be what? Sorry.
Eat or be eaten. Like
Yeah,
it's.
yeah.
I don't think. I think I'd be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. If I think it'd be a lot more difficult to try and adjust to US.
Oh, for sure. That's a good little. Well done. Let's see. Hey, I look forward
So there we
to
go.
maybe our
Our annual Blues and Reds Awards night can tie into this as well.
yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
Thank you to all the millions of viewers around the world.